back here now on the show to jump into this free agent talk so far that has been going on. Not a whole free agency outlook on still the top remaining free agents, but I wanted to focus in on Stephon Gilmore, who, since the start of free agency, to me, has been an unquestionable top 10 player available for any team to come and sign him. Arguably a top 3 to 5 player, in all honesty, based on how he's performed all throughout this time. Being 34 and still playing to the level that he is currently, or just based off of last year for the Dallas Cowboys, I think it's been a major surprise that no one has signed him. And although you do understand why some teams might not, if they want to go through training camp, through OTAs, through minicamp, and really evaluate what they have, especially with the draft going by, you really want to put these players in the best situation to really get a feel for what you have in your locker room. And then if Stephon Gilmore is still there, you go out and sign him, which I can understand that, but I think some teams desperately need someone like Stephon Gilmore on their team that could really take them to that next step. And it was interesting because Stephon Gilmore was part of the New England Patriots, and he was obviously there at the Hall of Fame induction for Tom Brady last week. And he had some comments to make about his free agency, answering why no one has signed him or what is sort of holding this deal back. And the majority of that conversation with that interviewer was that he basically is just waiting for the right opportunity. It seems like he is in no rush at this moment to make that decision, but you had some rumors before the draft and just earlier in this offseason having him going to the Carolina Panthers because he is from that area. And I thought it was odd that the New England Patriots were also a landing spot for him, because I just thought maybe for Stephon Gilmore at this point in his career, he might not want to go to a rebuilding situation. But he did mention again in that interview at the Gillette Stadium with the New England Patriots, obviously, he said, "This is a place that I played great ball, so just letting it play out how it's going to be was really his mindset in deciding this whole thing." It seems like he's in no real big rush there, like I said. And if you look at the New England situation, because I thought that was very interesting that he didn't completely, negate that option of going there. If you look at their defensive back room right now, it's pretty much led by a rookie last year in Christian Gonzalez. I was a big fan of him. You also have Jonathan Jones, Marco Wilson, Marcus Jones, and Isaiah Bolden as some of the biggest players or the big name players on the defensive side of the ball for the Patriots in the cornerback position. And I go back to the point I mentioned in the T. Higgins segment before, that New England has the most amount of cap space, and in reality, money does talk. Money is a very good convincer in a lot of these negotiations, so they could offer Stephon Gilmore a ton of money, and that thought about maybe going to a contender, maybe playing out the last few years of his career on a Super Bowl conference championship contender could all go out the window if the New England Patriots throw $18 million salary to him. But will they be able to do that? Do they think that fits them? I don't know, but that is an option for Stephon Gilmore. Like I mentioned, at 34 years old, he played all 17 games last year for the Dallas Cowboys. And apart from Deron Bland, I think in terms of efficiency and in terms of maybe the most not eye-catching stats and eye-catching plays like Deron Bland obviously had with all those interceptions, having a guy there that's quiet, does his job, is efficient, takes away a receiver, whoever he's on, that's exactly what Stephon Gilmore is. You don't have to worry about him. You don't have to look at him. You don't have to call out any special play for him. He's going to go over there, do his job, and not say anything and just continue on the game as it is. And that's all you could ask for. And he was a major part for the Dallas Cowboys last year. It doesn't look like he has lost his step. And in terms of money and how much he's looking for, I think his resume, multiple-time Pro Bowler, Defensive Player of the Year, All-Pro selection as well, he certainly has the resume to back up any contract that he would want. I think teams should and are probably inquiring about his services as we speak. But if he were to go to New England, he would certainly bring that experience aspect and be one of the pillars of this team to usher in this new era with Gerard Mayo. But other teams that I'm liking Stephon Gilmore around more and more is a team like the Buffalo Bills. defensively, I thought they lost more than they did offensively. That's just me. Losing Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White. Maybe you could argue that they didn't produce so much on the field anymore, but in terms of leadership, experience, locker room sort of guys, I think they lost a lot there. So bringing in a guy like Stephon Gilmore and bring him right away to that defense, and maybe you also bring in T. Higgins, you add another receiver, you jump right back into that playoff contention period, and it's hard to find a weak spot in the Buffalo Bills if they add those two guys, but that's obviously all still in the prediction phase. So that's one team. The Jacksonville Jaguars is another, similar, like with T. Higgins. Defensively, they don't have that main shutdown corner that they used to have back in their time when they made the conference championship, like a Jalen Ramsey, and how good their defense was back then. They've come a long way since that, and they certainly could use a shutdown guy. You have the Indianapolis Colts, who are very young. I think they had the youngest secondary last year, if I'm not mistaken. So adding a guy with experience like Stephon Gilmore certainly can't hurt. The Green Bay Packers are another one, more so in the contender picture of this whole situation. You have Jair Alexander, that's great. He's a shutdown guy, but opposite of him, you've sort of had this rotation going on. Last year, they had a little bit better performance defensively, so I will give them that, but Stephon Gilmore, adding him to this team will certainly make it one of the best defenses, certainly in the NFC. Maybe you can have an argument about the entire NFL, but I would love that move. And also, just in that same division, the Detroit Lions or moving on, I should say, from Cam Sutton. They brought in Carlton Davis. They had a big issue last year at corner where I felt that teams really targeted them at that position. They weren't afraid to throw at their corners, so that's obviously a missing hole there for that defense in Detroit. I like the players they drafted in Terrion Arnold and I forget the name of their second round defensive back, but he was another good player that I like. His name's just leaving my mind right now. But bringing in a guy like Stephon Gilmore to that team, how good they are already and well-rounded with Brian Branch, Jack Campbell at linebacker, Aiden Hutchinson, another great player, young player on their defense. I don't have to really talk about their offense. If Stephon Gilmore is added to that, they're certainly one of the best teams in the NFL, if not already. So those are some teams I really like Stephon Gilmore as a fit, but I don't really see this being sorted out soon. Probably carrying into August, if I'm being completely honest. I think by August, by preseason, most teams unfortunately may have to deal with some injury, or they realize that that position isn't as strong as they originally thought. So they're going to call Stephon Gilmore more around that time. And I'm excited to see where he goes. Like I mentioned, I think he still has a lot in the tank to provide to a team, and he's going to certainly be a pillar on that defensive side of the ball. Hopefully he goes to a contender. I really want to see him in big games, making big plays that impact the outcomes of these games. But as always, let me know what you guys think. Where will Stephon Gilmore go? Where will he play in 2024? And on that note, we're going to go to the final break of this show. Sticking in the NFC, a potential hypothetical scenario that happened with the Los Angeles Rams in the draft this year. They were rumored to potentially trade up or do something with their pick, but they ended up staying put. But it's not like they didn't try. They actually tried to trade up for Brock Bowers and actually Byron Murphy. What did they offer? Who did they offer it to? I will provide those details when we return after this break. Don't go anywhere.